Hi, Busy Girl. Leanne here with an answer to your question. And today's question comes from Tamara. And Tamara writes, how do you gauge your progress? Great question, Tamara. And the answer can really come in a number of ways, and it really depends on what you're trying to achieve. So most people gauge their progress in two primary areas. First, whether they're making faster or better times within the same distance, and second, whether they're able to try new races or distances. So first you can look at how you're progressing in the same type of race. Many people look at whether their times improve over the same type of distance as they become a more experienced runner. And this is a great indicator, but I do want to caution you to keep this within context. I really hate the way this sounds, but as we get older, we do tend to get a little slower. And so when you're 40, you are probably not going to beat or meet the times that you had when you were 25. However, if you just started running at 40 and you've been training really well, you might be a little faster when you're 45. It just depends on how your body is responding. And that's why another great way to gauge progress is to look at whether you're consistently able to tackle new distances. So if you've been able to move from a 5K to a half marathon to a marathon, that's great progress. Personally, I think the best way to gauge progress is to, at times, take a step back and look at why you started running in the first place and the journey that you've been on as a whole. Too often we get really caught up in whether we have a short-term journey and we have a short-term goal, and we get way too caught up in whether or not we're meeting that. Did we beat this time? Did we run a little bit faster? But we fail to acknowledge the entirety of the journey that we're on. So for example, my last full marathon performance was my worst time-wise, and it was disheartening because I had trained really hard so I could get faster. But it was also the hardest course I'd ever run, and it was my third full marathon since I just started running a mere 3.5 years ago. So while of course I was disappointed that my time didn't improve, I also know that I performed better on that course because of my training and because I'm a more experienced runner than I ever could have before. And there were aspects of that race that I handled much better than any other race that I've done before. So I can tell I'm making progress, especially if I step back and look at the journey and think about when I started running, when I thought running a full marathon was absolutely impossible. And that makes me really proud of how far I've come. I hope that helps, Tamara, and everyone else. Let's chime in and give her some more tips. So be sure to leave a comment below and let us know how you gauge your running progress. And I'll see you on the road.